Hey, I'm Eran, and today I'll show you how to create a custom animated social handle just like the one you are seeing here below. The best part, you learn how to save it as an animation preset that you can reuse anywhere in After Effects. We'll start by preparing our design in Illustrator, or you can create it from scratch in After Effects if you prefer. I'll share some tips to keep things organized so the animation process is smooth, and by the end, you'll have a flexible, lightweight preset tailored to your needs. Okay, let's dive in. So notice here inside Illustrator that I've named all the shapes and arranged them in more or less the order that I want to animate them. I also placed the elements where I want them to be in this widescreen video frame. Now you can change it later at any stage, but if you plan ahead, then you'll spend less time in the animation process because presets are sensitive to the pixel's location. Now there are a couple of ways to bring this artwork to After Effects. You can import the AI file and then create a comp out of it, and then right-click on the layer and choose Create Shapes from Vector Layer. This usually works great, but the downside is that we lost all the naming that I had inside Illustrator. No big deal, we can quickly rename it and then we can start to animate. Another option, if you have access to it, is to use Overlord, which will keep all the layers naming intact. But notice that if you choose to use it, this is super important, you'll need to send everything as a single layer. Because if you want to save it as an animation preset later, it must be on a single layer. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm actually going to use the built-in option, and I'll just quickly rename all the layers, and then I'll group them in a sensible way to make it easy in the animation stage. Again, it's critical that we'll keep everything on a single layer, otherwise we won't be able to save it as an animation preset. And now let's animate all of those shapes. I'll start by shortening the comp's duration, so I'll set it to 3 seconds, and then I'll open up the stroke, and for this guy, I actually want to add a repeater operator. Now, to see a better representation of what I'm doing, I'll switch off the transparency grid as well as turn off the visibility for all the other elements that I'm not animating. Then I'll open up the repeater. I want 4 copies, and I'll open the transform of the repeater. I'll set the position X and Y to 0, so we have all 4 copies, one on top of the other, and then I'll change the scale to 110. So what I want here is to create some sort of a pulse animation, which will be a great secondary animation for the logo itself. But first, we're going to animate it. Okay, so I'm going to create animation for the copies, I think over 1 second from 4 to 0. And then at the same time, I'll animate the offset. So I'll create a keyframe for the offset value and then type in -4 at the start. And over here at the 1 second mark, I'll type in 4. So the animation is going to look like this. All right, now let's time it with the scaling animation of the logo. So I'll enable the logo, and then I'll open its settings, and under its transform, I'll animate it, let's say around 15 frames. So I'll create a keyframe for the scale. I'll go to the start, set it to 0, and then I'll create an overshoot. Let's go with 120 over here at frame 10. Select all those keyframes, press F9 to easy ease them. And I'm going to even zoom in so I can see what I'm doing a little bit more closely and preview the animation. All right, this looks good, but there is a bit of a competition between those 2 elements. So I think that over here at frame 10, I'll need to return back to the stroke, and then I'll close the repeater, open its transform settings, create a keyframe for the opacity, then move 1 frame forward and set it to 0 just to make sure that it won't compete with the logo element. All right, so here there are both of them together. Looks good. We can close the stroke, we can close the logo, and now let's animate the bar over here, which is this thing. For this object, I'll start the animation at frame 10, and I'll animate the path itself. So I'll create a keyframe for the path, then go to the 1 second mark and create the same keyframe over here as well. I'll go to the first keyframe and I want to select only these 3 anchor points. So to do it, I'll need to click away and then reselect the bar, hold down Shift and click on those anchor points to select them. I'm also going to hold down Shift and just move them over here. Now at the start, it is visible. So let's go to frame 10 and open the transform of the bar. Create a keyframe for its opacity, move 1 frame forward by pressing page up, set it to 0. And I'm also going to open those keyframes and select them, press F9 to easy ease their motion as well. And this is how it looks. All right, we're getting somewhere. All right, let's quickly animate the Stern FX hashtag. I'm going to be a bit lazy here and just add the trim path operator. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to be good enough because it will be very fast. So let me show you what I mean. Over here at frame 14, I need to start the animation. Now, I'm not sure if I need to do the animation from the start or from the end. So let's see. I think that first I need to switch it to individually. And then, yeah, I need to animate it from the start. So depending on the layers order or the group order from Illustrator, you may need to either animate the start or the end. All right. So in my case, 100% for the start at this point. And then I'll move to the 1 second mark and set it to 0. Now, because this is so fast, it's actually going to look good. But the animation is not perfect. You can see that After Effects is filling the holes as well as the strokes. But again, it is moving so fast, I think we can get away with it. Now, at the 1 second point, I want to animate all of these icons, one after the other in a cascade style. So let's start with the YouTube one. I'll open up the transform. I'll create a keyframe for the scale, set it to 0 at the beginning, move 10 frames forward by pressing Shift page down, set this one to 100, select both of these, press F9 to easy ease the animation. And I'm also going to make sure to select them and copy them to the clipboard because I want to paste the same animation for the other ones at a distance of 5 frames. So we'll have some sort of an overlap. So I'll tap 5 times on the page down key to go 5 frames forward. And then let's just enable the visibility for all the other things here. So for the LinkedIn logo, I'll make sure to open it and select the scale over here. This is very important because there are a few scales values. So you need to make sure that you are selecting the main one under the transform of the entire layer. All right, let's do it again. I'll move 5 frames forward. We'll open the X logo, open up the transform for the main logo, select the scale word and paste it over here. And last but not least, of course, Facebook, if anyone is still using it. So moving forward 5 frames, selecting the word scale and paste those keyframes. And I think this is it. All right, let's see how this works. I'm going to play it from the beginning. And I love it. All right, so now it's time to save it as an animation preset. So to do this, we'll need to select the layer, then go to the animation menu and select reveal all modified properties. This is going to show us everything that we've created here, all the things. And in order to actually see it, we'll need to maximize the frame by pressing on the tilde key. Now notice this I-beam, this is very important. We need to actually select it. Now, in this case, I'll place the cursor over here at the end, click and start to drag around all of those I-beams. And I need to make sure that everything here is highlighted. So notice that I'm scrolling down and After Effects is selecting all of those properties. Now, I'll go to the animation menu and I'll select Save Animation Preset. By default, After Effects is going to prompt you to save inside your After Effects version under User Presets. Inside there is an Adobe folder. And over here, you can save wherever you want. So in my case, I can save inside my folder. But just to test that everything is working, I'm actually going to save it on the desktop. And I'll name it whatever I want. Of course, I can then copy it to wherever I need. And I'll click Save. Now, if you're doing it for the first time, After Effects will yell at you that you are saving in an unauthorized location. So just be aware that it won't be available inside your Effects and Presets folder. But we just want to test it. So let's just unmaximize the timeline. And I'm actually going to create a new composition. I'll click OK. And under the animation menu, under recent animation presets, I have access to the last one that I've saved, regardless of where I saved it. You also have a keyboard shortcut of Command-Shift-Option-F or Control-Shift-Alt-F on Windows. So let's apply it over here, and you can see that everything works. Now again, the downside as things stands now is that After Effects doesn't remember the layer naming, not for the entire layer and for the groups themselves. So if you want a copy with all of your naming, just make sure to save your project. But other than that, this is now ready to be used. And that's how you create your very own custom animation preset for social handles inside After Effects. Sure, you could render it as a video with Alpha Channel, but this method is far more flexible. You get scalable, editable vectors, adjustable colors, and timing all packed into a lightweight preset designed especially for you. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this helpful, hit that like and subscribe button for more tips and tricks coming your way. Have a fantastic day, stay creative, and happy holidays!